Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Here are my top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s. Yes, from 2000 to 2009, I am counting down my top 10 favorite science fiction movies. Yes, as you saw in my last video when I did my top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of the decade, I'm doing my favorite sci-fi movies of each decade from the 2000s, the 90s, 80s, 70s, all the way to the 40s, which is all going to lead up to my top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of all time. Alright, this is the 2000s turn, so let's get started. Here's my top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s. That's from 2000 to 2009. Remember that, alright? For top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions. My honorable mentions for my favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s are Sunshine, District 9, Children of Men, Primer, Donnie Darko, Titan AE, Star Trek Nemesis, X-Men, the first one, and The Road. Yes, those are all my honorable mentions, all great films. Just couldn't make the top 10 list, but what did make my top 10 was my number 10. And my number 10 is X2, XMen United. Yes, this is the second X-Men movie of the X-Men franchise. This is directed by Bryan Singer, who is the king of X-Men movies. This guy, anytime you give him an X-Men movie, he'll give you something truly great. I loved the first X-Men movie. It was a good movie. Nothing amazing, but I really liked it. Just a personal favorite. This one is even better. Like, it's got aspects of the first one, but it gets better and better. The story's more interesting. It's more thrilling. It brought in new characters like Nightcrawler and Colossus and Shadowcat, even though it's a brief scene, but they brought in new characters and Stryker and stuff, and it was more exciting and gripping. Like, that opening scene with Nightcrawler, played by Alan Cumming, is such a great scene when he's attacking all these agents, and he's almost about to assassinate the President of the United States. It's just a great scene, and I love it. Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Frankie Jensen, Halle Berry, James Marsden, all return, and they're all great in this movie. The only character I never liked in these X-Men movies was Adam Paquin playing Rogue. That's not Rogue to me, but that's a nitpick for all of the movies. But yeah, Bobby Iceman was in it more, and he was great. And Brandon Pyro, he was okay. He was a bit annoying, but I like the story about Stryker going against these mutants and using his son, Jason, against Charles Xavier to use Cerebral to kill all the mutants in this world. And it's a great story. It goes into more depths about Logan's backstory with Stryker and stuff, and how he got the claws and stuff. It also has a great villain, played by Kelly Hu, Lady Deathstrike. She's great, and I love that fight between her and Wolverine when she pulls out the claws. Logan's just like, oh shit, yeah. The action's great, the characters are more interesting, the story's more interesting, it's just better than the first X-Men movie, and it's my 10th favorite sci-fi movie of the 2000s. Coming number 9 is Moon. Yes, Moon. Duncan Jones' Moon. I love Duncan Jones as a director. He did Source Code, which was in my last list, and then he did this movie, Moon. He's got the new movie, Warcraft, coming out this year. I'm excited for it. I love this movie. This is Sam Rockwell playing all of the characters in this movie. He plays all the clones in this movie, and yeah, Kevin Spacey is in the movie as Gertie the robot. He was great too, but Sam Rockwell starred in this movie, and he stole this movie. This wasn't his movie. This entire movie was Sam Rockwell, and he's a great actor. He's a great comedic actor, but he also could be a great dramatic actor, and my God, you felt bad for every character he plays. It is sad and heart-wrenching, this movie. It is so sad. I'm not going to spoil why it's sad, but it is so sad. Like, I was almost tearing up at the ending of this movie. It was so sad. It's a great movie. It's very, very visual, and it's got some great effects for a pretty low-budget sci-fi movie. And I love Gertie the robot. He's a great movie robot. And I love how smart and clever this movie is. And I don't want to spoil this movie, because this movie has a lot of shit, and it throws a lot of twists and turns at you, so I don't want to spoil all of them, but it's a great, clever, smart, thought-provoking film, and it's a personal favorite of mine. I love the movie Moon. It's a great movie. Coming number 8 is Wally. Yes, Wally. Oh, God, this is such a great movie. This is a great Pixar movie. I love Pixar movies. I don't love Brave or Monsters University or Cars 2, but the rest of them, oh, Good Dinosaur. But yeah, the rest of them are great. I love Wally. Wally's a great movie. Yes, I am with those people who say the first act is the best part of the movie. Yes, the first act of Wally is the best part. It is almost a fucking masterpiece of how amazing the first act is. There is no dialogue. It's just Wally exploring this abandoned Earth, and then the robot Eve comes, and they have like a connection, almost like an Adam and Eve connection. And then in the second act, the humans start coming. But That's still fine. The second and third act is still good. It does have a pretty predictable message, but I still really like it because I love the characters, Wally and Eve, and some of the human characters are really good. It's beautifully animated, this movie, and it's got a very cool story. It's very fun. It can be funny at times. It's got a very fascinating and pretty smart story, too, and it does have a great message. It's a very predictable and cliched message, but it's a good message to tell your kids and stuff, and I love this movie, Wally. It's a great movie. The first act may overpower the second and third act, but it's still, all in all, a good movie, and it's my 8th favorite sci-fi movie of the 2000s. Coming number 7 is Star Trek. Yes, 2009 Star Trek. I just mentioned this in my J.J. Abrams ranking, so yeah, go check that video out. I rambled on about it. This is a great movie. Again, this brought Star Trek back after Next Generation. We didn't know what we were going to get from Star Trek, but this movie was great. It delivered. It rebooted the franchise of Star Trek, and it's great. It had a very stellar cast with Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana, Zachary Quinto, Bruce Greenwood, Eric Bana as a great Romulan villain. I love the story. I love its visuals. I love its comedy. I love how action-packed, exciting, and funny this movie is. This movie actually, believe it or not, turned non-Star Trek fans into Star Trek fans. This movie is not just for Star Trek fans, but it's for normal people who maybe couldn't get into Star Trek, could now get into Star Trek with this new movie and this new franchise of Star Trek. This is a great movie. It's definitely better than Star Trek Into Darkness, and I like this movie. It's actually my second favorite Star Trek movie in general, and yeah, I love this movie. It's a great movie. It's no Wrath of Khan, but it's still an amazing Star Trek movie, and thank God we had J.J. Abrams. He did a great Star Trek movie. Coming number 6 is Spider-Man 2. Yes, we had the predecessor Spider-Man, which was such a good superhero movie. I love the first Spider-Man, but Spider-Man 2 just improved upon the first movie. This movie is fantastic. We had Otto Octavius as the villain. Yeah, Alfred Molina did an amazing job. The Sam Raimi's direction was phenomenal. It actually had some of its similar themes from its other movies, like Evil Dead. Like that scene when Otto Octavius first becomes Dr. Octopus with the friggin' 4 metal arms and killing all the doctors. That is like a scene out of Evil Dead, and it's got some of its campiness and comedic scenes like an Evil Dead movie as well. But this is Sam Raimi we're talking about. He does great at comedy, campy movies, but also he can make great action movies, and this is a phenomenal action movie. I love it. The action scenes in this movie are fantastic, especially that train sequence with Spider-Man and Otto Octavius. That is such a brilliant action scene. Tobey Maguire is fantastic. He's been my favorite Spider-Man. I know some people like Andrew Garfield. I don't like him. I love Tobey Maguire. He's a great Spider-Man. He's a great Peter Parker, and I love him in this movie. Even Kirsten Dunst, she's a dumbass damsel in distress. She's still a very likable character. I love James Franco in this movie. I love the dynamics of the friendship of Peter and Harry. Like, their friendship, dwindles in this movie because his hatred towards Spider-Man, and he takes pictures of Spider-Man stuff. The way they do that and portray that story element in this movie is so well done and very well acted. Both James Franco and Tobey Maguire were great in this movie. Performance-wise, they were both fantastic. J.K. Simmons steals almost all these movies as J. Jonah Jameson. I fucking love him in this movie, and I love everything about this movie. It's a great action-adventure movie, and it feels like Spider-Man. It's a great Spider-Man movie. I love Spider-Man, and I love seeing Spider-Man done right, and Spider-Man 2 did Spider-Man right. Coming number 5 is Unbreakable. Yes, an M. Night Shyamalan movie's on here. That's a rare thing because I'm not the biggest M. Night Shyamalan fan, but I love Unbreakable. Unbreakable is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. I love The Sixth Sense. It's a great movie too, but Unbreakable is a fantastic movie. This is a superhero movie. Yes, this is a superhero movie starring Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. I love this movie. I love how dark and gritty it is. And I love sometimes in this world, a person is meant to be a hero and a person is meant to be a villain. And that's what this story's about. It's about destiny. Bruce Willis is meant to be the good guy, and someone else is meant to be the bad guy. I don't want to spoil the ending. The ending is very well done. This is a very realistic and pretty gritty superhero movie, and it's very dark, it's very ominous, but it's so well done. The performances by Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson are both fantastic. They're both amazing in this movie. Robin Wright is also in this movie. She's very good in the movie. I love the story. I love how it took almost like a real story, like a realistic story, and made a superhero movie out of this realistic story, and it just works. It just works. This is just a great movie for comic book fans. If you're a big fan of comic books and even superheroes in general, you will love this movie. I love this movie. This movie alone is the reason why I occasionally give M. Night Shyamalan some credit. Yes, he directed my least favorite movie of all time, but he also directed Unbreakable, which is a fantastic sci-fi dramatic film, and I love this movie. Unbreakable, awesome. Coming number 4 is 28 Days Later. Yes, this is a great zombie post-apocalyptic movie. I love this movie. Cillian Murphy's fantastic. Naomi Harris is fantastic. Brendan Gleeson is fantastic. Every one of these freaking actors are awesome. The characters are interesting. They're captivating. You're rooting for all these characters. You don't want them to die. You don't want to see Cillian Murphy or Naomi Harris or that young teenage girl. You don't want to see them die. And if someone does die, it actually really hits you because you actually give a shit about these characters. You also love the world, the zombies. These zombies in this movie, 28 Days Later, are fucking scary-ass zombies. Like, if they bleed on you, you turn to a zombie. If they bite or scratch you, you turn to a zombie. And they're hard to escape from. Like, they run, they charge, and they're actually pretty smart zombies. So, these are probably, like, the worst zombies to fight in a zombie apocalypse world. Because they're fucking smart, and they're fucking quick. And they're deadly as shit. And I love this movie. It's a great sci-fi thriller horror movie, and I love this movie. It's a great character study. It's a great horror movie. It's a great zombie movie, and of course it's my 4th favorite sci-fi movie of the 2000s. Coming number 3 is Minority Report. Yes, you gotta have a Spielberg and a Tom Cruise movie on this list because it's Spielberg and Tom Cruise. I love this movie. Minority Report's got some great ideas and great philosophies. It's got an amazing, very clever, well-written story. I love the story of this movie. I love the characters too. I love the performances. Colin Farrell's in this movie. He's fantastic. Tom Cruise is fantastic. Neil McDonough is great in this movie. Mark Van Sydow, he's great in this movie. Everyone is fantastic in this movie. The visuals are fantastic. The action scenes are really good. It's a very big scope of a film, and the ideas in this movie are fantastic. They explore a lot about humanism and about the future and about destiny. And could you change your future and your past and stuff? And it's so well done. It's a great crime thriller, but it's also a great sci-fi action movie, and I love it. Tom Cruise is fantastic, and Steven Spielberg's direction is fantastic. Like, Spielberg is an amazing director, and anytime he does a sci-fi movie, it's always brilliant, and Minority Report is brilliant. Coming number 2 is Serenity. Yes, of course I had a Serenity on this fucking list, because it's Serenity. Firefly is my favorite show of all time, and I love Serenity. I love this movie. This is the movie adaptation of Firefly. This is made years later after Firefly got canceled, and we needed this movie. Firefly fans needed this movie. This movie was made for the fans, and I don't care if it didn't do well in the box office. I don't give a shit. Critics loved it, and Firefly fans loved this movie. And I'm a Firefly fan, so of course I fucking love this movie. This movie is fantastic. It's basically a great 2-hour episode of Firefly, and it didn't quite end the story, but it was good enough. It's a good enough ending. I wish they had a sequel to Serenity. They didn't, but I love this movie. It brought back all my favorite characters. Brought back Captain Malcolm Reynolds. It brought back Wash, Jane, Kaylee, and Nora, Rivers, Simon. All of them are back. Shepherd Books. They're all fantastic in this movie. It brought back a sweet villain called the Operative, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. It's fantastic. Joss Whedon wrote and directed this movie beautifully well. It's got great comedy, great action scenes, and an amazing story. And it kills characters off that make you fucking cry. Come on. I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch how I soar. I freaking love this movie, and god damn it, Wash. God damn it. I love this movie. It's a great movie, great action, sci-fi, thriller, comedy. I love it. If you're a fan of Firefly, you fucking love this movie, but even if you haven't watched Firefly, give this movie a watch. It's a great sci-fi movie. And my number 1 favorite sci-fi movie of the 2000s is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yes, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a brilliant sci-fi comedy romance movie. I love this movie. This movie is fantastic. It's written beautifully by Charlie Kaufman, and it stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Mark Ruffalo, Kirsten Dunst, Tom Wilkinson, and Elijah Wood. I love this movie. This is a great romantic movie. This is probably one of my personal favorite romantic movies. I love this movie, and it's a great sci-fi movie. It's a great comedy. This just shows you that Jim Carrey can be a brilliant dramatic actor. He's fantastic in this movie as the character Joel, and I love Clementine, played by Kate Winslet, who was nominated for an Oscar. Probably should have won it. Charlie Kaufman won the original screenplay, thank God, because the writing for this movie is amazing. The story, the dialogue, the characters, it's all beautifully written, this movie. I love this movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a personal favorite. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this movie. I don't know what else to say about this movie. People haven't said already. This movie is fantastic. It's groundbreaking. It's revolutionary. More people need to see this movie because it's fantastic. It's a great love story. It's also a great movie about letting go, and also you can't always escape from your past, and people are meant to be together, and I love it. I love this movie. It's a great movie about memory go and all that kind of stuff, and this is a great movie. It's well written, well directed, and beautifully acted by the entire cast. And what else can I say? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite sci-fi movie of the 2000s. It's a brilliant masterpiece of a film. So yeah, that was my top 10 personal favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s. So yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, did you grade this list? If not, give me your top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.